What's the most badass thing you've accidentally said in the heat of the moment? As someone with a suicidal history and multiple attempts, I was a bouncer at the time and my response to "I'll effing kill you" was "You can't kill me. I can't even kill me. Trust me, I've tried." Bruce Banner in the comments here. I was eating McDonald's with a few friends and I started choking. The only thing I managed to say in the whole ordeal was, "I'm Mick choking." I was the lawyer in this criminal case arising out the Standing Rock events. That morning, some Lakota people had given us this traditional blessing to wish us well for the trial, and there were 5 to 7 activists sitting in the courtroom to watch and support us. It happened that there was a certain digital document that I needed before the jury got back from a break, and we didn't know just when the break would be over. I remember turning to the supporters holding up a thumb drive and telling them exactly what I needed from the office across the street and how to get it. I held out the thumb drive and with all the intensity of an ancient general sending his troops into battle said, "Fastest runner. Go now." This tiny little young woman grabbed the thumb drive and hauled ass. She got back before the jury returned. We had a overly dramatic neighbor who always claimed she was sick and dying. My mom came to see my kids in the middle of battling stage 4 lung cancer. The neighbor pulled her. "Hi Rita, so glad to see you. Did Jason tell you that I am dying?" My mom looked right at her, smiled and said, "Me too, dear. But not today." Never more proud of her. This one had a little setup, but I think it's funny enough to share. At a family vacation, my grandmother was giving me grief for not remembering her birthday. I've never been good with birthdays. After telling me it was the password to her iPhone, she wanted me to take a picture with it, which is why I needed the password. While she was distracted, I opened up the settings, changed her password to my birth date, and then set her phone down. Cue 15 minutes later, she's trying to get into her phone and it's not working. Suspecting mischief, she grumpily asks me if I've changed the password to her phone in front of our entire family. I admit that I did. "Well, what is it?" she asked impatiently. "It's my birth date." She sat there in stunned silence for about 15 seconds not being able to remember my birthday, before our family exploded laughing. Was a good time. Got to work one morning. My chosen football team had thrashed my boss's chosen team. I gave him a load of shit for it. Humorously, of course. My boss is great. He gave me some shit back and told me to do a stock take on all items we have beginning with the letter C. I pointed at him and said 1. Luckily, he took it the correct way and laughed a lot. The first day camping at a 2016 music festival, I headed off with a 4-gallon jug to get water. A girl who was with our group, who I'd never met before, asked if I needed help. I responded, "No, but I'd sure love some company. We're getting married this fall." Around the time I was 12, I was at a family party with my dad and aunts and uncles. My dad told me that one of my uncles owned several bars. My response? "Oh, it's good that he got into a business that he knows something about." I had no idea what I really was saying. I thought I was giving him a compliment. "Go wait with mommy. Daddy might be going back to jail again." Guy pushed my 5-year-old daughter at the fish store, and she started crying. When he heard me say that, he ran out of the store. I've never been to jail before. This was back in my junior year of college. At the beginning of the semester, I was introducing myself to my very intimidating biochemistry professor. Guy was a genius but also a hard ass. Students were all terrified to ask him questions because he was known for grilling people, and if they hadn't made enough effort beforehand, he'd send them out of his office to learn on their own. As I walked into his office, he was sorting through some boxes and made a really sarcastic comment regarding stuffing me in the box and shipping it off somewhere. He looked up for my response and I just blurted out without thinking, "I wouldn't mind going somewhere nice." Dude laughed so hard it actually startled me a little. We got along pretty well for the remainder of the semester, so it all worked out really well. It's amazing what a little laughter can do to ease tension. "There's no way you're this much of an asshole naturally. You must go home and practice." I said this to a coworker who was throwing a fit and bullying a quieter coworker because he was pissed off. He had a habit of just being a giant douche anytime things didn't go his way. This comment pissed him off so much he just stormed into his office and stayed there the rest of the day. Win for the rest of us. I had a surgery and when I woke up, the nurse was really cute, so I started flirting with her. With no success, I had a second surgery and when I woke up, it was the same cute nurse. My first words to her were, "How many surgeries do I have to have before I get your phone number?" We've been married 8 years now. I actually said nothing. I was on my motorcycle in traffic, on a wet overpass with short jersey walls. Guy behind me was driving a bit too fast and slammed on his brakes, sliding into me, but no damage as he was going slow enough to touch and push me about 5 feet, before finally coming to a stop. The angle had me going straight forward so I did not fall. Had it been much faster I would have been thrown over the edge to my death. So obviously I was not happy. I turned off the engine, got off the bike and slowly walked over to the driver that hit me. It's only a few feet and when he saw me coming to him, he furiously started raising his manual window. So I could just see him struggling to pump the winder. When I got there I just knocked on his window, pointed at him, and turned around and walked away. He looked terrified. I didn't think about it until later. A guy you just hit in a car wearing a black helmet, with shaded visor, black heavy thick jacket, black heavy riding pants, road crafted jacket and pants, black thick and metal studded gloves, and black leather boots knocks on your window and points at you for being a supreme dumbass. I had no idea. I just wanted to talk to him. Be a bit angry but tell him I was okay, then take a sec to verify my bike was okay as well. Depending on where you live, he might have figured you for a gangster. Yeah, that point could totally be interpreted as, oh shit, the accuser just made me a target or something. About 25 years ago, I was in grade 9 and my parents bought me a pair of Air Max. I'm a female, but I had picked a pair of Air Max that were supposed to be for males, because I preferred the color of the shoes. I was super pumped to get those shoes. We didn't have lots of money and it was a pretty extravagant purchase. Anyway, I was at our local shopping center and I ran into a group of guys I went to high school with. They were a real bunch of assholes that thrived on dumping on other people. One of the guys had on the same pair of shoes and said to me, "Do you know you're wearing men's shoes?" To which I quickly replied, "Then why the F are you wearing them?" The other guys pissed themselves laughing and it still stands out in my mind after all these years. One time I popped the blood vessels in my eye and had blood dripping down my face, and some kid says, "Hey man, you're bleeding." To which I responded, "Shit, colder fooled me." Then I effed it up by touching my face and seeing the blood, and immediately going, "Ah shit, guess you were right." Long story short, my friend would share my sexcapades with other people, which I would rather he didn't. Got fed up and ended up blurting out, "Just because you don't have your own stories to share, doesn't mean you have to share mine." Respect should be earned, not given, to some old lady at an extended family gathering. She was saying some mean stuff about the homeless where she lived, and I told her how inconsiderate she was. Then she told me to respect her and not rebut her. Partly accidental. Was doing a university project, had to do a large presentation in front of maybe 50 to 60 other students, about a possible business of manufacturing an education toy for kids. It was a bit of a train wreck, as no one else in the group had rehearsed or even read the script. As with all presentations, they asked 4 questions at the end, and I stepped up to answer questions. There was one guy at the back that always asked awkward questions, like what if someone were to injure themselves and sue you, or have you factored in matching employees' pensions? It was meant to be a fun project for first year students. They weren't expecting tons of detail. When it came to asking questions, I volunteered to answer them. The guy opened right away asking awkward questions, but he misjudged how anal I am with details. I asked the lecturer hosting the session if I could load up my spreadsheet. He allowed it. That's when the guy realized he had asked the wrong guy. I had made an automatic spreadsheet that would work out how many people were needed, how many machines, what hours people could work, rolling production over 24 hours and overlapping shifts to ensure it all worked at maximum efficiency. Add to that it worked out costs. complying to the law exactly, including pension contributions, tax amounts, holidays, time off work due to illness, etc., insurance, rent and more. When it came to asking his group questions, I asked him every single thing he had overlooked legally, like time off for work, pay increases, etc. On the way out, the other groups gave me a smile as it had shut him right up. At university, we have to present our senior projects in front of the whole department. Stage fright sucks and everyone else had a more interesting project, in my opinion. The badass moment was that my name was misprinted on the schedule and I got welcomed to the stage under the wrong name. The first thing I did was point to my real name on my presentation and say that's how my real name is spelt. It's just pronounced weird. A bunch of people laughed and I got commended by a few people for adding humor to the driest 3 hours of the year. I was the nerdy, 5 foot tall shy girl, and constantly got paired with struggling / misbehaving kids to help them. On this occasion, it was 2 popular guys in English class. One was your typical 2000 comic book jock, the other was a class clown who just didn't know when to stop. Together, they unanimously agreed to do shit all, making fun of our classmates, while I made the world's ugliest word cloud. I failed art class y'all, so that's no joke. I guess I had an epiphany, because for the first time in my 15 years of life, I decided, F this shit, and went to tell the teacher they're being lazy dickheads, and I'd rather just do it solo. It took a hot minute before Jokester realized I'd even left, and when he pointed it out, the jock stood up looking ready to hulk out of his lowriders. And the jock said, "What are you tattling on us for? It's not like we've done anything." And I replied, "Yeah, that's kind of the point." And just walked out of the dead silent class. Because I was so used to being bullied, I fully expected him to yeet a chair at me. But apparently I just looked like a badass, which is accidental street cred my nerdy ass was 100% eager to roll with. A long time ago I was walking down a side street in a medium-sized town with my girlfriend. A car was parked ahead, with the front of the car facing us as we approached. I could see 2 kids, maybe in their late teens, and instantly could tell they were likely going to say something, as my girlfriend was rather attractive. As soon as we come up next to them I hear, "Hey baby, ditch the zero and come hang with the hero." I could feel my blood boil, but I kept my cool, and calmly said, "Sorry buddy, I'm not gay, and don't call my girlfriend a zero." The dude's friend started laughing at him, and my girlfriend made a sarcastic crying face. Then we both started to laugh. F me, I'm going to be late, after waking up from a concussion that left blood still dripping down my head an hour after, in which period I went and proceeded to sit a history final exam. 'Tis but a scratch. In a discussion with my parents in which they were clearly wrong and missing the point, they began yelling because they really hadn't arguments, and started talking about the respect I owe them as their son, saying that I was disrespectful for contradicting their position. I just answered something like, "From where would I learn respect if I haven't seen you guys respecting me or anyone?" And they went completely silent. I came out to my friend as a lesbian. She told me that it wasn't natural, so I said it's more natural than your tits. We're not friends anymore. In a class at university, each student had to give a presentation about a scientific paper and answer questions about it. We were told to ask the speaker questions, because otherwise the professor would, and his questions would obviously be harder. That professor was really brutal in his critiques of the presentations, but also fair and accurate. In any case, I asked a question after every single presentation, but when my turn came no student wanted to ask anything, so the professor asked me if I wanted to ask myself a question. Without even thinking about it, say, "How come your presentation was so extremely excellent?" I was mentally preparing to be chewed out. Instead, the professor needed a minute to stop laughing, and then gave me the best grade possible. A co-worker was struggling with a frustrating piece of equipment, and I asked her why she didn't just do insert easy fix instead. She growled, "I don't know. I just really love making things harder." Then why are you a lesbian? Side note. Yes, she's a lesbian, and she almost fell on the floor, she was laughing so hard. She repeated the joke to everyone else the rest of the day. I was telling a coworker about an absurd customer interaction I had that day, and in front of everyone he basically called me a liar and said he didn't believe me, and without pause I replied, "Yeah, I'm not Jesus. I don't need you to believe me. I'm just telling you how it is." In my country there was a song, "Are you horny or do you want a cookie?" A guy used this as a pickup line. My answer, I was horny but after your face, give me the cookie. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe for more daily Reddit videos.